in Uvalde, Texas. As many of you know, the reports are that it was a mass shooting at an elementary school, and the preliminary reports are that 14 children have been killed.
This school has children that are in second, third, and fourth grade. I can confirm right now that we have several injuries, adults and students, and we do have some deaths.
The shooter was Salvador Romas, an 18-year-old male who resided in Uvalde. It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle.
As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name we do what we all know in our gut needs to be done?
He shot and killed horrifically, incomprehensibly, 14 students and killed a teacher.
Nowhere else do little kids go to school thinking that they might be shot that day. Nowhere else do parents have to talk to their kids, as I have had to do, about why they got locked into a bathroom and told to be quiet for 5 minutes just in case a bad man entered that building. Nowhere else does that happen except here in the United States of America, and it is a choice.
Why you do not think that guns are the problem?
Why is this just an American problem?
Well, it is just an American problem, sir.
Mr. Cruz, why is America the only country that faces this kind of mass shooting?
But you can't answer that. You can't answer that, can you, sir? You can't answer that. Why is this?
When are we going to do something? I'm tired. I'm so tired of getting up here and offering condolences to the devastated families that are out there. I'm so tired of the, I'm sorry. I'm tired of the moments of silence. Enough. There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is a background check rule that the House passed a couple of years ago. It's been sitting there for 2 years. And there's a reason they won't vote on it, to hold on to power. So I ask you, Mitch McConnell, I ask all of you senators who refuse to do anything about the violence and school shootings and supermarket shootings, I ask you, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children and our elderly and our churchgoers? Because that's what it looks like.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wake Up Report. 19 children and 2 teachers slaughtered in Texas. New York City, a man walks into the subway system and just randomly shoots a man for absolutely no reason. New York City prosecutors dropped charges against, well, he calls himself a rapper, C Blue 16. They're all rappers. All the criminals are rappers these days. After he shot a cop in the leg while on probation for previous gun charges. And in Buffalo, the manifesto of a individual revealed that because he felt that the great replacement theory was replacing whites with immigrants that were going to take white people's rights away. Like the coward that he is, he did not go after anybody young enough to fight back. He went after senior citizens and ambushed other people in a murderous attack. Why don't we call them exactly what they are? Domestic terrorists. When is this country going to institute a domestic terrorist death penalty? We know that they did it. You don't have to go through a trial. We don't have to go through all of this psychological evaluations, all this other garbage. When you commit an act of domestic terrorism, in my opinion, you deserve an immediate death penalty. If they gun you down on the spot like this domestic terrorists in Texas, that's about as far as we need to go. Judge, jury, and executioner right there when it is absolutely ironclad that you did it. And despite all of this just bloodbath and of bullets and death, this really has nothing to do with guns. This has to do with people's behavior. The gun issue That's too easy. I mean, this Texas shooter could have walked into that school with a knife and stabbed a bunch of people to death. He could have walked in there with a rope and strangled a bunch of people to death. He could have walked in with a brick and bludgeoned some kids to death. So it doesn't matter the choice of weapon. It is the behavior that we need to check. And checking behavior by way of firearms, background checks, psychological evaluations, weapons training, proper weapons training. I don't understand why in a lot of states, well, a lot of these Republican states, I should say, that this is such a problem. Why is this a problem? Why are background checks a problem? Well, I'll tell you why background checks are a problem, in my opinion, is because once you do background checks, you'll find out how many crazy white people there are out there with guns that don't deserve and don't need to have guns. And that is the reality that this country does not want to face, just like this country does not want to face the reality, or Republicans, I should say, well, Republicans and those who support them don't want to face the reality that 10,000 people stormed the Capitol last year in an attempt to overthrow this country, and a lot of them were armed with guns. A lot of them, if you gave them background checks and psychological evaluations, even though a lot of them were members of the police department, fire department, doctors and whatnot, those are people that should not have access to firearms. So as far as Texas is concerned, all you Texans out there who consistently vote Republican, who consistently back your governor, who is just a disaster, you killed those kids too. You killed those teachers too, because the people that you vote for are simply a reflection of who you are. And when you continuously put people like this in office and keep them in office, and they continue to do the same things over and over again, you deserve a lot of the blame when it comes to these murders too. As a matter of fact, an old tweet resurfaced from Greg Abbott saying that he was upset that Texas was #2 in gun sales, new gun sales. Texans, let's buy even more guns. You got 30,000 guns, you need 32,000 guns. You got 1 million guns, you need 1,000,001 guns. This is the kind of nonsense. And let me say, by the way, that, hey, this domestic terrorist from Texas, hey, he did exactly what the governor said. He went and upped his ante when it came to his weapons purchases. In New York City, Mayor Eric Adams, or Bill de Blasio 2.0, as I like to call him, has been an absolute disaster so far. He can show up to every party that's thrown around the world, but he can't do anything to get a curb on this violence in the city of New York. So, and me personally, I knew it. When you got a black mayor, black folks actually clown even worse. When it's somebody black, they will absolutely defy that black authority. Because the person is black, they have absolutely no respect for that person. And instead of dealing with this epidemic of violence in New York City, this man goes to the Met. He goes here, he goes there, Mr. Party all the time. The guy's just out, and people are sick of you always talking about you got something. I got this, New York. I got this. You got nothing. And I think a report came out that he's already eyeballing running for president. Hasn't done anything in New York, and already he's got his delusions of grandeur about becoming president of the United States. I will say this: you liberals, you've destroyed this country over the past a few years or so. Your wokeism and all that mess, you've absolutely destroyed this country. This country is in a state of chaos because of all this liberal nonsense. Now, this Texas shooting happened in Matt McConaughey's hometown. For whatever reason, people are tweeting that, what is he going to do about it? You need to come. This is your hometown. You need to come back and do something. What is he going to do? The guy's an actor. He flirted with running for governor, and I guess he backed off of it because he probably knew the quagmire of BS that was going to go on when it comes to politics. Politicians don't want to get things done. They want to make sure the guy that wants to get things done doesn't get anything done, while they rake in all the money that they can get going about their business. But hey, man, McConnell, if you give it a second thought, man, you got an opening right now, because I think this one. I was going to say I think people are fed up, but why say that? How many school shootings have we had in this country, and we've yet to be fed up? How many before again background checks, psych evaluations, anything that pertains to buying a weapon. This country is just insane in a lot of regards. You keep doing the same stuff over and over and over and over and over again. If I had my way, there would be a domestic terrorism bill, and it would be immediate, ASAP. You commit a terrorist act in this country, you get the death penalty. It's just plain and simple as that. If you want to go out here and shoot up schools full of children, you deserve the death penalty. You're going to get the death penalty. You're not going to get life in prison and none of that junk. You go into subway systems and throw smoke bombs and unload on people with guns and things. You get the death penalty. Plain and simple. Plain and simple as that. This is not hard. It's not rocket science, but it is probably never going to happen. You can do all the blah, blah, blah talk you want, President Biden, about the gun lobbies and the gun this and gun that. This has nothing to do with guns. It has everything to do with holding people accountable for their actions. Until that happens, all you people in these photographs boo-hooing and crying and why, oh, why is this happening? You're making it happen. For all of your governors, your Republican governors, who refuse to deal with gun violence and refuse to deal with things as simple as background checks and things like that, you are responsible for this. You're making it happen. For your liberal mayors who want to go to parties all day and night and stand up in front of people talking about how sorry they are that somebody got shot. And, you know, I'm sorry, but hey, I got a party to get to, so I'll talk to you about it later. You're responsible. You are killing these kids. You're killing these innocent people. But because a lot of you people out there, the rest of you Americans, you don't vote, you don't participate, you don't do anything about any of this until something tragic like this happens, and then you want to call to action and you want to judge. You are responsible for killing all those kids, and you're responsible for killing that man in the subway. You're responsible for allowing people to throw bombs in subways and then unload with guns. Everybody, to a degree, is responsible when it comes to this. So don't just point the fingers at the domestic terrorists. Point the fingers at yourselves, because none of you want to do anything until something like this tragic happens. Then you want to call to action. It's only a matter of time before this dies down. The issue of gun control and gun violence and gun this and the NRA, it's all going to peak. The news is going to get a lot of hot points to talk about. It's going to die back down. It will happen again, and we will predictably do nothing about it. This is KTM and the Wake Up Report saying think a little bit. It will do wonders for you.